to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you, when you're doing yard work, safety matters. If you use a ladder, be aware of overhead electric lines, including the service wire that runs to your house. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity with dangerous results. And be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a swimming pool, and you're working with skimmers, brooms, or other long-handled tools. Central Hudson wishes you a safe summer.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence. Good morning, listeners. This is the KCR Morning Radio Show. We're broadcasting live from 16 Lucas Avenue right here in Kingston, New York. Alongside of me in the studio is Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Saugerties. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Lawrence. Good morning, listeners.
Good morning, guys.
331-9255 is our call-in number. We'd love to hear from you on this murky Wednesday morning.
Today's the return to summer day, though, right? Back in high temperatures.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going to get some sun. But
sun?
then that's going to brew thunderstorms, you know that.
Yes.
It's the aftermath of Elsa, right? All this rain, is that what we're getting? Or?
Oh, I don't think, no, this has
hurricane,
nothing to do with Elsa. That's long gone. There's that front that's been meandering that just does not want to get out of here. And it almost, just like a rail track for a train, it just serves as a mechanism for these thunderstorms, these lines of showers and thunderstorms to move along on. Now, yesterday, that front was to the south of us, and we didn't really get anything after.
Last night we did, though.
Yeah, last night there was a few.
Last night at like 2 a.m, the thunder woke me up.
Yep.
But then it went away after like 15 minutes.
So, little over a quarter of an inch in the rain gauge this morning, and that brings us to 7.04 inches since last Thursday morning. Can you imagine?
That's insane.
Well, we were 11 inches below the water table, but yeah, that's a lot of rain, 7 inches. That's a lot.
It's a lot. We've
everybody's grass is green.
Everybody's grass is green and too high. It hasn't been an opportunity. Can't cut.
No.
Well, better days are coming, Greg. It looked 91 on Friday, so I know you'll be excited about that.
If it doesn't
rain. It was
rain,
64 in here this morning when he got here.
if it doesn't, as long as it doesn't rain, okay? So now I will throw this out. I will exchange 71 for a sunny, no rain day.
Agreed.
I agree too.
65, anything but this here, because boy, it is soupy, it is murky, and
it doesn't feel like
really
summer.
Humid. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like summer. But we're,
And July is one of my favorite months, and it's just been so crappy. I don't ever remember a 3-week stretch, and this is going back to that last week in June through the first 13, well, now 14 days in July, where we've had this amount of water. The
implications are very apparent now, though. I mean, the DEP has restored releases into the Esopus. They're trying to, and this would be the time of year where they're trying to store water. Leading into the dry season.
Right.
But they have too much water, so they're dumping again. And I have 7 or 8 residents that we're trying to work with to figure out if there's anything we could do to help relieve the water that's coming into their homes or blocking their driveways or any number of things. And there's been some serious challenges. We had a family displaced from their home because the foundation wall collapsed.
Oh, wow.
This started about a week ago. And
is this on Lighthouse Drive or out?
No, it's actually at Doyle's Lane.
Doyle's Lane?
Yeah, there was.
Where's Doyle's Lane?
In Mount Marion.
Okay, Mount Marion. Okay,
Yeah.
I figured it was either Lighthouse Drive or Mount Marion.
And so they've been displaced, and now it's not clear that they're going to be able to return to their home.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So we're, originally we thought, it's going to be a disruption for a day or two, but now it looks like it might be a permanent disruption. So we're trying to work with them to see if we can't get them some assistance. And the storm, our highway department, and this is true of all the highway departments across the county, has been overwhelmed trying to make sure that the grades for their storm drains are clear and that they're actually flowing and there's nothing obstructing that. And none of them were designed to handle this much water. They're all at 120, 130% of their capacity.
And it's got to raise havoc with all the highway departments, the county highway department also, with paving schedules, because many had some, I know, aggressive paving schedules, and it has to have raised havoc. I mean, how do you start a paving job on a day like today? And if you're dealing with catch basins that are clogged, culverts that are clogged, and of course the other thing, the ground now is getting so saturated. Look what happened up to Cooksaki. I realized they had it wasn't a tornado, it was a microburst. The trees that can just easily fall because the ground is just so saturated.
Yeah, this sets up a potentially dangerous scenario if we experience high winds.
Yeah.
Those root balls will lift right up. In Cooksaki got beat up pretty bad.
They did.
I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah. 100 trees.
Ugh.
100 trees.
Wow. Strange weather for summer.
Yeah. They had
all the way around. We're talking about too much water, and then there's regular reporting about Lake Mead being in the lowest point since it was filled originally. There's a water crisis happening out there, and the drought they're describing it as a 1,000-year event.
I mentioned this, I think either last week or a couple of weeks ago. It sounds crazy, but is the ultimate answer going to be a very, very large pipeline or mechanism, tunnel, to channel water out to the western parts of the states?
Probably.
From the eastern parts of the states or the Great Lakes area.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but back when it was constructed, it probably sounded crazy when they built that massive avenue to get water from the upstate reservoirs to New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
So
there was actually some discussion about bringing water from one of the Great Lakes down to the, I think it was Texas. And so you're not that, it's been thought of for sure. And they have a huge problem out there. They're going to have to come up with something. The weather patterns clearly have changed in a way where the Colorado River is not going to supply the water and it has implication for us because in California, so much of that water is diverted to agriculture.
Sure.
And I read a story about farmers tearing down their almond groves because they're very water intensive. But a lot of the produce that we get comes from that valley. And if that valley is no longer going to be irrigated, it's going to have a very, very substantial impact on the food that's available to us.
I'm wondering, I'm sure they did. Well, maybe they did. I certainly don't want to assume. But, obviously you got the Pacific Ocean there with a desalination plant. I know they tried it in Tampa. And I guess the cost to implement it kept growing and growing and growing. They do have a desalination plant. It's actually more towards Apollo Beach, where they pull water out of the out of Tampa Bay. But it's nowhere near as successful or meeting the goals that initially were put in place. For it. But, you look at what's going to be the alternatives, and those two alternatives are either a desalination plant and drawing out of the Pacific, or some kind of an avenue to get water to them. Because unfortunately, if anything, we're seeing this getting worse each year. I hate to say this, but I certainly hope it doesn't get any worse. But I don't think it's going to get any better.
No, I don't believe so either. And part of that was the reporting that you give to us when you come back from your national
conference.
Yeah, that one. I don't remember the man's name, but he's talked about average rainfall would still be average, but it'll come differently, and that's been pretty much right.
Well, that was Frank Rossi from Cornell University, right here in New York State, well known throughout the world, and he gave that talk about 15 years ago. And then,
but he looks like a prophet now.
Yeah. The patterns definitely, certainly have changed. And we were talking about Coxsackie. The Coxsackie Athens Little League last night were one of the guest honorees at the Stallions game. Of course, they've had to double up because of the rainouts that they've had, and then the Blackhawks softball and baseball teams. And
they were there as well.
So the entire back edge of and most of them were dressed in white and black, which is the Stallions colors, and it was quite a sight. And
nice.
The kids from Coxsackie Athens, getting onto that field, they were just going picking up the dirt, and they had a really good time.
Good for them.
I'm sure their field, after what happened up in Coxsackie, is inundated. I know many fields. We had a call on Saturday from a baseball team in Westchester, looking for a field to play a doubleheader on Sunday, and of course we had nothing.
No, we're booked pretty solid right now.
Yeah, I mean we're turning groups away constantly. It's
Stallions' schedule's in disarray. They've right there. They lost, I don't know how many games in a row.
Yeah, I think for the most part, unless the league decides, the teams don't have the pitching, I think here on out everything's going to be a doubleheader. It was a doubleheader last night. Sunday was supposed to be a doubleheader until Mother Nature disrupted that.
Plan for that.
Yeah, and that whole system that moved in much earlier and quicker. I even actually thought they were going to get their first game in. Their first game was scheduled for 4:00, but obviously that didn't happen. And it was very, very unfortunate with the car show. Bob's going to be calling in at 8:10.
Good. It didn't diminish his enthusiasm at all.
No, I don't think we could have had a blizzard and it wouldn't have.
No, agreed. And honestly, for the folks that stayed, I don't think it diminished their enthusiasm either. It was fun.
Well, that's what they make rain umbrellas for.
Yep. I didn't see a lot of. I had an umbrella. It was my wife's, and it looked like a female umbrella. Caught a lot of attention for it, but I was comparatively dry to some. But a lot of folks just.
I have a nice big. I have to give you one because we had a bunch left over from one of the golf tournaments. A nice big. It's big too. Sawyer Motors golf
oh really?
Golf umbrella.
That would have been more appropriate, especially for the day.
For the day, yes.
Yep. But folks just they once everyone got wet, everyone just kind of embraced it, and whoever stayed still had a great time, and a lot of the car owners stayed right to the end as well. So it was all in all, I think Bob's going to give us a nice report. It was successful, and as always. He was extraordinarily generous at the end and gave away tens of thousands of dollars.
We'll get to hear about that at 8:10.
Excited.
And we've got the new head of Ulster County Emergency Management, Eric.
Everett.
Yeah. Everett. Excuse me, Everett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be good to have him on because he's fairly new to it, and he's really implemented and consolidated a lot of the emergency services, a lot of change. So it'll be exciting to have him on for a little while.
Yes, he'll be calling in at 7:30, And then, as I mentioned, Bob Circasano. I was trying to get Neil to come on, Smolder, to give us an update, but I guess he's still slammed. And 8:30, we got Darren Nagy, who recently purchased a semi-pro box lacrosse team that is now playing out of the Sorgeties Ice Arena, Kiwanis Ice Arena.
Fun. And we're only a couple weeks from making ice, right?
Yes, 2 weeks.
Yesterday?
2 weeks from Sunday, I think he fires it up. 25th.
25th?
He either fires it the 25th or starts making the 25th. One or the other. Yeah. Crazy.
Time sure goes by quick.
Oh, boy. Well, it was very, very short. We didn't close until May 23rd. So basically it was 2 months. That's, that's it.
Look, I think all the people who use the ice rink and we are also looking forward to this. We finished the renovations there just in time for COVID to hit. And from that point forward, we didn't get to fully experience the improvements that we made a couple of years
No, we
ago.
really didn't, except for, like maybe that January. Well, we opened on the 7th of December. There was that little short time. But, you're right. And, of course, many of the restrictions and many of the procedures that we thought we were going to have in place, I mean, we're just going to go back to, I don't want to say 100% the way we were, but pretty darn close. Pretty darn close.
And we're just really excited. I think folks that haven't been into the rink since we rebuilt the roof are going to be impressed. And we should have some heat on the bleachers. I know that was one complaint we heard repeatedly from spectators because it was cold in there. Colder.
The heat is installed.
It is installed.
It is installed. I think Rob is just waiting on Central Hudson now with the gas line.
Perfect. Exciting.
Yeah.
It'll be really exciting to have a full season there.
Yes. I just still, you just hear some things. There was a blurb in the Freeman. I also heard it on the news where the National Conservative
CPAC
Conference.
Yep.
That character there they're cheering him on with him speaking about encouraging people not to get vaccinated. I mean, and then I really like Fauci's, response back basically to the effect that why would somebody be cheering on an individual who's what he is saying, unfortunately, results in people dying unnecessarily, like a death cult.
There's something amiss. I have a lot of conversations with folks who just won't get vaccinated for whatever their motivation may be, but it kind of defies logic. I don't understand it, and you can see, the country's experiencing a little uptick, and it's in populations that are not vaccinated. We can defend ourselves now, so why would you not take that opportunity?
Some of the states, it's not just a little bit of an uptick. They've had a substantial jump where, hospitals are full again, and, it's only I believe it's either 9 or 11 states.
Well, Alabama had a really bad problem.
Yeah. Mississippi.
Yep, kind of
was another one. And, I'm glad in New York State we're over 70%.
Me too.
That's good. That's good to see.
That's why your point is valid. We're going to open the ice rink, and it's going to be very much like it was before. And the vaccine is what makes that possible. And, I think the health officials are expressing this fear repeatedly for large populations that are refusing to be vaccinated. The opportunity for a variant to come out that would compromise people who are vaccinated immunity is the risk. Right. And we can get this thing contained and put it to bed once and for all. And hopefully people will come around to that.
I'm just hoping that, you're seeing more and more individuals who have been stricken with COVID that were not vaccinated, now are pleading others to get vaccinated. Basically, you know, they're coming right out and saying they made a mistake by not getting vaccinated. You know, if individuals can't see what's going on, or maybe they just refuse to see what's going on with the spikes, with this Delta variant. And I mean, does anybody really want to go back to the restrictions that we had over the past 15 months, you know, prior to May?
No, I do not, for one. And that was horrible. It was, you know, it was just, we did what we needed to do, but boy, oh boy, we spent 18 months just in defense of COVID, trying to keep people healthy and create work environments that were comparatively healthy and still provide services. It was awful. And running the restaurant during that was a disaster. And that's, you know, I think anyone who was in food service you could still see the scars. Even, you know, there's restaurants that are near ours that closed. They just couldn't do it anymore. And I think that's going to last for a while. People's patterns were changed for 18 months, and slowly I think people are building up the confidence to come back. But, you know, headlines like you're describing are intimidating, especially for folks that might have some type of compromised immune system or are predisposed for some reason, whether they have a breathing abnormality or something like that. Is tough. And I understand that fear. So we're age, a compromised immune system of any kind, COVID could create a real complication. And I get it. You know, in my own experience, when I had it, I was fairly sick, and folks that were close to me were not nearly as sick as I was, which was great, good for them. But it hits everyone different, so why would you take the chance at all?
No, I can't understand
Me neither.
it. But, you know, hopefully as we go through time, individuals, and unfortunately, you know, I just hope it doesn't take something like I just mentioned, where restrictions are put back in place. But maybe that's what's going to have to happen in these states where they're seeing these spikes, especially these large percentage spikes in cases. Because as you mentioned, it also puts in jeopardy those who are vaccinated. Now, granted, the science, the research has shown that if you're vaccinated, you are protected to some extent, not 100%. Mm-hmm. You might contract the Delta variant, but the degree of your sickness may not require hospitalization. Certainly, I don't know if it's the case with the Delta variant, but I know with a lot of the vaccines were toting 100% against death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely minimizes the symptoms. So the percentages are astronomical, where you're going to be less likely to have a serious illness or require hospitalization if you're vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And you know, anyone can get through a cold, so if you can minimize that experience and not end up with pneumonia or the other complications that were common, you're very far ahead of the game.
Sure.
So
next Tuesday we've got the First Responders Night.
Oh yeah, that's a big event
that Ulster County and the town of Sorgeties is putting on at the Stallions game. It's going to be a great event, and a lot of toys and whatnot given out to children.
Yeah, the First Responders Organization, Alcon's organization, they've already supplied a significant amount of inventory for giveaways, and it should be a really special, exciting night.
And I just hope Mother Nature cooperates.
I hope so too.
There's one night I hope she cooperates.
And it looks likely there's going to be a small fireworks display as well. Mm-hmm. So it should be a really special night for folks to go. And first responders, a broad term. If you're a nurse, a doctor, obviously a firefighter, an ambulance, an EMT, all those, it's a pretty broad definition. There's information on the Stallion site of who's eligible. You just have to bring your work ID and you're good to go. Volunteer firefighters are all welcome.
Yes. No charge, no admission charge. And the All-Star game. Did you get to catch any of the All-Star game?
I thought it was great.
I saw the last 2 innings.
That's it?
Well, I was at the Stallions game.
Yeah.
And then I caught the last two. I did watch the home run derby the night before with Pete Alonso. That was quite an interview he gave where he says that he's the most, how do you phrase it? Power hitter on the planet. And then he called the timeout to get the crowd cheering during his second round.
That was great.
And that was quite a feat for the Baltimore Orioles hitter after going through what he did with cancer to come back like that. And he just missed by one.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. There's I don't know. That's, you see all those guys, the best at this moment in the game, and the light-hearted playfulness about it is really what baseball's all about, and that's kind of what I liked about it. And quite honestly, it was funny too because there was a couple plays that I felt were errors in the early part of the game where guys got on and they really didn't deserve it. I'm like, holy cow!
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was fun. It was a good game. I didn't see the whole thing. We had it on, and I could pay attention when I could, but it was I thought a really good game, competitive, and it was fun. And that jolliness, or I don't even know how to describe it, is really what defines baseball, and then that sometimes is missing from the regular season games.
Sure. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's good to see baseball too, though, and that big crowd. It was awesome. It was awesome. It's all stuff we took for granted and couldn't do last year, so it's really easy to celebrate it all this year.
And this was quite ironic. And Lawrence was telling me prior to 7 a.m. here, as a result of the pandemic and large venues, the Meadowlands, the Giants are going to allow people to bring in food, where in the past, as long as they can see it in a clear plastic bag, they can bring a thermos in, if it's for soup, and then everything is cashless.
So if you do want to buy a drink or a burger or whatever, you got to use a debit card or a credit card.
Right.
So
now
it's interesting.
Now, do you pre-order on your phone, or do you still go actually to the concession?
I think the concessions will probably be open. I mean, that's got to be a big part of the MetLife's draw, all that money that they make. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you remember at the old stadium, some people would go out for beer at the 2-minute warning at the second, at the end of the second to get online. It was so crazy. You don't have to do that anymore because there's so many concessions. But I mean, just to park, it's $30. So all the extras that they're making, the beer. I mean, a beer. What is a beer? $12? It's got to be at least. It was $11.50 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're willing to give up that revenue.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I'm just happy that it's 100%.
I don't think you can bring beer in. That's going to be a no-no.
No, I still haven't got anything that says if they're going to ask for your card to put you into the system. I know right after I got my COVID shot in the beginning of April, when I flew to Florida a couple weeks later, they asked me for it, but I just went to North Carolina over 4th of July weekend, and they never asked me for my card on that, a trip a month and a half later. So
Leslie Duffy was just telling me that yesterday. She went to, where'd she go?
I don't remember.
And she flew back. And
there's no issues.
And no one even asked her for her card, right?
No.
Yeah.
You still have the mask on the plane?
The first time I went on, I got my shot April 12th, and then I flew. Oh, for the Derby, I went to Florida to visit some friends down there, and we went to Gulfstream. On that trip, that was April 30th, I left Albany to go to Fort Lauderdale. They asked me for it. And then when I came back, I was already in the TSA system. They had,
scanned you.
Yeah, put me and my date of birth in. And then, then I went and flew July 2nd, and they never asked me for it anywhere. And I went from Albany to Baltimore to Charlotte, and I never got. I mean, I had the card on me the whole time.
You still had to wear a mask.
Oh yeah. You got to September 13th. They lift it in the airports. That's when you don't have to fly with a mask anymore.
Oh,
at least on Southwest. That's
Okay.
what the stewardess was telling me when I flew last week.
That's
She's like, yeah,
generally what
September
I fly.
13th. It's a Monday. They're ending the mask mandate I would imagine it's got to be everyone, not one airline specifically can. If Southwest is doing it, United and American are going to have to do it too. So, but yeah, September 13th is the mask for the airports. We'll see.
That's when it's scheduled to end?
That's when it's scheduled to end, yeah. Monday, September 13th, no more masks in the airport. They're hoping that everybody is vaccinated. But what they say now, just like they do when you go into a restaurant, you're supposed to use you're supposed to be responsible and say, hey, if you don't have a shot, you wear a mask. You still see people walking around with masks on. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that they're the ones that don't have vaccines. So you're supposed to be responsible about it, and I think that's what's going to happen. And I was shocked. So 70% of New Yorkers have the vaccine. Is that what you were just saying?
At least one shot.
Wow,
yes.
That's good.
So, yeah, it's
that's
over
really
70%.
I don't think it's that high in Florida.
No.
I don't even think it's that even close. Watching all that stuff on the news back when COVID was going on, bodies being loaded into trucks and stuff, that was enough to scare you.
Yeah.
So I think, people were, and, we were in the house for like 3 months. There was no one on the street, no one driving.
Yep.
No one doing anything.
That was like a ghost town.
It was. All right, you guys want to go to break? And then
we are at the bottom of the hour, listeners. We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org. Produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us the first half hour. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. Alongside of me here in the studio is Town Supervisor from Saugerties, Fred Costello. Good morning again.
Good morning, Greg.
And we have our guest for the 7:30 slot, I believe, on the line. Is that correct?
Yep.
Everett, you're here?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Fine, thank you. And to our listeners and viewers, we have Everett Erickson. I pronounced that last name correctly, sir?
That is right.
Wow, I've got something right here, huh, Fred?
Doing okay, yeah.
Doing okay?
Yep.
And Everett is now the new head of Ulster County Emergency Management. previously held by Steve Peterson, who we've had on previously. And I'm sure you got some stuff to tell us about, some new maybe initiatives and goals. And I know you're at a conference up in Syracuse, so we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule here to join us and join our listeners and viewers this morning.
No, thank you for inviting me on. I really appreciate that. So, I mean, yeah, we have a lot going on. I just previously took over for Steve Peterson. I worked for him for about 4 years as one of his deputies, working with fire services in the county. And just in that time period alone, we made some huge advancements on the fire service side. Building out the new training center for our fire services in East Kingston on Ulster Landing Road. Our county executive was extremely supportive of that project, and we've been using it a lot. Fire services have been coming. We've been running our state and county classes there, and getting our fire services some excellent training. And as we move forward now, I mean, it's well known that we're working on a radio system, an upgrade radio system. So that's been a lot of work, and we're continuing to move that forward to see that through, because that is extremely important. Just recently, we started working on a 911 call diversion program, and that's been working great. Really addressing mental health, which is a huge issue. Trying to divert people out of the criminal justice system. So you call 911 and it's a mental health issue. Does it really need to be law enforcement that responds to that? So we have a risk assessment. We evaluate the call, and we can divert that to a mental health clinician that's within our 911 center from 12 to 8 Monday through Friday. And that's been a great project, and it's took off really well, and we look forward to expanding that program and advancing it. So those are some really big initiatives that we have going on right now.
That one with the domestic violence, that is huge, because I know the amount of time and resources that takes away from law enforcement. So what you're saying is your actual dispatchers that receive the calls, they've now been trained to evaluate, analyze the situation and make that determination?
So we put all our dispatchers through some crisis intervention training, and we put together a risk assessment of the call. So based off of specific questions that are asked of the caller, it's determined if we need to dispatch law enforcement EMS immediately, or are we able to divert that call to the mental health clinician? And the mental health clinician is right in the 911 center, sitting right with our 911 dispatchers. They take that call if we're able to divert it. If not, we do dispatch law enforcement and EMS as necessary, as the procedure requires us to. But if it does get diverted, they'll be able to handle it, and based off of their experience, they'll move forward through their procedures and conversation, and seeing what assistance they're able to offer them. And they're always able to send that call back to us and request that law enforcement or EMS goes out there based on their conversation. So we do have that backup in place just in case.
I'm just visualizing in my mind as you were speaking, in addition to the other items you mentioned previous to that had to be quite an undertaking to get all your dispatchers trained. That had to be quite a challenge in itself.
It was a lot of work, but my deputy Michael Gaffney, who oversees the 911 center, put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the schedules worked. Obviously, we can't shut anything down. We have to stagger the shifts and get everybody through training. Our supervisors went through a little bit more of extensive training, and then our dispatchers, went through a modified crisis intervention training. and risk assessment training. And I have to say, the supervisors, I mean, we put them through basically the CIT, the Crisis Intervention Team training that a lot of the Ulster County law enforcement agencies have been sending their officers to. We sent them through that same training. And it's twofold. You know, they're getting a lot of the good information, but they're seeing what's happening on the other end. It's really closing that loop and getting a good understanding of what's happening on the other side of the phone. Remember, when you call 911, we're only getting the information that the caller is giving us. So it really closes the loop for us to see what's happening on the other side as well.
Yeah, it's a really interesting collaborative dynamic between law enforcement and the mental health community to try to get the resources that would be most effective. And there's so much leadership in this area. I know our department's played a big part of it. Captain Filak was one of the instructors at the CIT training, and we're all really proud to be part of it. And I think going forward, this is going to be a model for how emergency services are allocated.
Absolutely. You know, Captain Filak does an outstanding job, teaching that course, really brings to light a lot of issues, and all the instructors. It's a collaborative effort between a lot of organizations, People USA, Access, the Ulster County Sheriff's Office is involved. Great collaborative effort, and the county executive, Pat Ryan, has been extremely supportive of this program, really there to ensure that we have the necessary resources to implement this program 100%.
Yeah. For regular listeners, they hear Greg and I talk about this all the time. One of the things that sets Ulster County apart from other communities is the collaboration between first responders, law enforcement especially. It's very seamless on most projects, the cooperation between the state, the county, and the local law enforcement. And this is a great example of that, how we're all trying to work together to provide an effective service.
No, absolutely. I mean, to see the collaborative efforts on programs that we put forward for our residents and on incidents, you and I have been at incidents, in your town, and just to see all the agencies come together to work seamlessly for a positive outcome. It's really, really great to see. We have some great leadership in this county, so it's kudos to everybody that makes this happen.
Yeah.
And as Fred alluded to, we have spoke numerous times when, especially like our first Wednesday of the month, it's Law Enforcement Wednesday, where the residents of Ulster County, and rightfully so. This is certainly no criticism, but all of the work and all of the cooperation, all the efforts and the dedication that go on behind the scenes for the realization of what is provided to our residents in this county. And I'm sure that the level of cooperation, working together, obviously exists in other counties and throughout the state. But many times we've had, especially in the state police ranks, where individuals have transferred into the areas here from, say, the North Country, and it's practically non-existent.
Yeah. We see that the state police brass are always the ones to point that out, how special the relationship is here. And Everett and his predecessors and all the leaders in local law enforcement and fire services get the credit for that. We've created that collaborative relationship and we maintain it.
We're very, very fortunate to have that, and you speak about the leadership also, the leadership that exists in Ulster County, mm-hmm. and obviously starting right at the top with our county executive Pat Ryan, who's just been, as a result of his initiatives, many of the things that we talk about have been able to happen along with his team. Obviously, it's never about one person. We talk about this all the time. It's a team effort, and the only way you're going to get successful outcomes, the only way you're going to get successful programs, as Everett's been speaking about here for the last 10 minutes or so, is through the result of a cooperative team effort. Yep. Perfect case here.
No.
Another area, and I think you'll pick up on this, Everett, is the support between first responders, So the ambulance is basically in crisis. The calls for service are up all across the county, but the resources that are available to respond to those calls are stressed at best. And one of the responses has been a lot of volunteer fire services are going to the third out calls, and a lot of police departments are kind of assisting with those calls as well. And that's a trend, but that's represents a crisis, I believe. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, they have been. I mean, it's known that there's a crisis with EMS. We really need assistance there. The local agencies are continuously recruiting. They're looking for the assistance, and the local fire departments have stepped up to really assist them when they can. The police agencies are responding to them to assist them when they can. But the reality of the fact there is that it also stresses the fire service and law enforcement that already are responding to numerous calls, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a domino effect. So, we're always looking for that assistance. We really need to pay close attention to that. And COVID hadn't made it much easier. I mean, the turnaround time to put an ambulance back in service, during COVID was, it was a lot longer. It took a lot longer, to decon that ambulance and get it back in service. So that only made it, worse.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing during COVID was ensuring sustainability of our first responders, making sure that EMS and fire service and law enforcement were able to sustain the services that needed and, had to be there for our residents. So, that was a huge initiative there was, following the state guidelines on getting people tested, making sure that as soon as, the phases opened up for vaccination, we prioritized, those first responders to get the vaccine right away, getting them tested right away, just to check to see if there was going to be any clusters within agencies. And we were very fortunate in our county. All our first responder agencies stayed open. We were able to keep those numbers low amongst them, and it worked out very, very well. The county executive was very supportive of that. We worked great with the law enforcement agencies, the fire agencies, and the EMS agencies to ensure sustainability.
Yeah, looking back, it was, and I felt for those folks in many ways. They were all doing their job, but they were at risk themselves, and then they were potentially putting their families at risk because, they're going to work, they're responding to people who displayed symptoms for COVID, and they were able to transport them or help them at that moment of need. But then they had to hope that they took enough precautions, that they were still safe, and that they were going home to their families and they weren't bringing something into their own home. And it was a highly stressful time for an already highly stressful career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And everybody worked hard to ensure, the services were there for our residents. The county executive supported, the Department of Emergency Services, our department, the DOH, the county DOH, to make sure that, we were able to take care of those agencies, to take care of the residents. So it worked out very well.
Yeah, you guys, it's been a long time since you heard a thank you for it, but I know you guys played a significant role in just making sure enough PPE was around so that those first responders at least had the resources to protect themselves. And that was a challenge to get it at the time. Everybody remembers, once we realized that this was real, there was a mad rush and all the available PPE got taken up quickly and hoarded. And you guys played a significant role in making sure that there was enough resources for the first responders to go out there safely.
No, we did. We did big pushes of PPE. It was hard to get. Working with other counties to get orders in. Just to make sure that because they were looking for bulk orders and stuff. So it was a lot. It was a lot. So, but it's important to thank our first responders. I mean, they're out there on the front lines on a daily basis. As you guys are aware, the county executive, a huge supporter of this first responder recognition ball game that we're going to do on July 20th. Up in Sardis, the Stallions are playing, It's going to be a pretty big event, inviting all the first responders, fire, police, EMS, our dispatchers. We can't forget them. They're the first ones that are answering the phone, and we kind of always we don't think about them, but they're the ones that are taking that initial phone call and then sending out fire, police, EMS, and even the hospital care workers. They're those professionals. But just saying thank you to them. Inviting them out to this ball game. Fireworks. Right after the ball game, by Legion Fireworks, and all these organizations that are supporting it. So Sawyer Motors, CSX, First Responders Children's Foundation, Toys for Tots, Police Chiefs Association, the Fire Chiefs Association, Walkville Valley Federal. I mean, there's everybody. Minor Beverage Company. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone somewhere here, but I mean, everybody has really stepped up to support this recognition ball game for first responders.
Yeah, it's actually uplifting to see the extended list of people who are willing to sponsor and show a little bit of gratitude. It's I think it should feel good for anybody who's a first responder, especially during COVID.
But isn't it isn't it amazing? Here is another event where businesses, individuals, civic organizations, once again, have stepped to the forefront and have sponsored, contributed towards this very, very worthwhile event. I mean, we sit here and, I know certainly a month doesn't go by. I don't want to say a week doesn't go by, but I know a month never goes by without us talking about this with an event. Just last Sunday with the Sawyer Motors car show. So it's quite awesome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. We got Everett Erickson here on the line, the new head of Ulster County Emergency Management here in Ulster County. If you should have any questions for him, please feel free to give us a call, 331-9255.
So I want to thank you and the folks that are working with you on this. You mentioned the radio program that we're trying to adopt for first responders countywide, and I think it should be noted and credited to you, Dennis Doyle, and the other folks who are involved in this, that you folks in the communities where you are siting towers are using the planning process. And I'm only pointing that out because there is an argument under the Monroe Doctrine that the county could have just installed these without going through a planning process. And I know this has been a delay to a degree, but I applaud that you folks have been sensitive to the communities that are going to host these and the neighbors who are going to be near these structures, and that those neighbors are being given the opportunity to express their concerns. And I think the effort that the county is putting forward to try to accommodate those concerns is notable and applauded. So thank you for doing it that way. And also for this project, I think it's extraordinarily important. In Saugerties, we have 60 square miles of landmass. We have 7 different fire districts, and the topography there does not lend itself to regular, easy radio communications. And this upgrade will correct a lot of the dead areas that our first responders experience. And communication is key. It's not only to make an adequate response to the victim, but also to keep the first responders safe and get the resources that they need to make sure that they can provide an adequate response. So I talked a lot, but this is your project, so share some of your thoughts, please.
Oh, thank you. I mean, the radio system is key. First breakdown in any emergency response is communication. So it's going to be essential. And like you said, I just have to reiterate it that it's not only key for our first responders, but it's key for those that we are responding to. If we need additional resources to help them, we need to be able to ask for that. And throughout the county, there are some gaps that we need to address. So yes, we have to look at adding some towers to address that. And Dennis Doyle is great. Steve Peterson, my predecessor, has stayed on as a deputy, and he is staying on this project and leading the charge, and is doing a absolute great job. So I really look forward to seeing this project come together and finalize, because it's going to be beneficial not just to the first responders, but to the public that we serve.
Yeah. one of my observations is there's a tower proposed for Sorgeties, and there's obviously residents who live near there that are expressing concern, but we take for granted that people understand the importance of the communications and that the current system has significant gaps. And that is not the case, even amongst the residents who are going out of concern for their own interests. The dialogue that's happening and the awareness that they're developing about how spotty the service is, especially in some areas, is, it doesn't take a lot to understand the importance of good communications. We saw, what happened during 9/11 when communications broke down, and it puts a lot of folks at risk, not just the victims, but the people who are trying to help them. And, that's going to be a key platform going forward to make sure that we can assemble the resources in a way that can make a meaningful response. And this is really, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It comes down to not everybody uses it every day. Our first responders, they're on those radio frequencies every day, so they're seeing it, they're living with it, they're dealing with it. No one else is using that. The residents, the general public, they're not on those radio frequencies, so they're not seeing those issues firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really bringing that to light and letting them see that is key for them to get a better understanding. I'm sure that once they see that, they'll have a good understanding that it needs to be addressed because it's needed and it's needed to help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to.
Fred hit the nail right on the head, and you touched on it even further. So many times, it's awareness and educating individuals because they do not know. And then once that, you always hope that once you're able to educate an individual, a group of people, make them aware of the situation that, and rightfully so, they would have no clue about the vitalness and the criticalness of communications. And you touched upon the square miles in Sorgeties. I imagine, Everett, as you start going up towards 28 and towards what's up there, Sundown, Pika-Moose, that area up there.
Harburg,
the ability for communications is just so important, so vital.
I think Ulster County has the same geographic landmass as the state of Rhode Island.
I believe, I've heard that before. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you're right.
So they covered the whole place in signal. Go ahead, Everett.
Just under 1,200 square miles, and you're right. We have those issues, radio communications, in the western part of the county, up in the the end of Route 28 up there, and we're working on that too. On that has to be addressed up there, and we're looking at the entire county. Yes, we're working on the Sorgeties Tower right now, but in the background there is movement on in the town of Shandaken as well of addressing radio communications out that way. So we're looking at the entire county to ensure that we have a good interoperable radio system for fire, police, and EMS.
And I think back to Irene, we had fast water rescue teams in the Esopus Creek during that storm trying to save lives, and denying those folks who are putting their lives in jeopardy the opportunity for reliable radio communications speaks for itself. You can't do that. It's unfair. So this is a really important project. It's kind of, in many ways, it's right near the foundation of a successful emergency services platform for all of us.
You're putting the lives of first responders in danger, trying to save lives, residents.
Yeah. It's really something. So it's an exciting project. And this was there was a significant grant made available to help facilitate this a number of years ago. Isn't that correct?
It was just recently received, and Steve's been working on numerous grants throughout the past few years, really to make this happen, and he's been very, very successful with them.
Good. It's going to benefit all of us. I know we're almost out of time, right,
Go
Greg? Is
ahead.
that why
No,
I'm taking a deep
yeah,
breath?
no,
It's
go
okay.
ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
We're going to have you back, I think, because we got 2 out of your 3 big platforms somewhat covered. And it's really a pleasure to have you on, and we very much appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So.
That half hour just flew right by. But Everett Erickson, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're at a conference up in Syracuse, and I'm sure in your position you bounce around from conferences to conferences. I know you're at the Volunteer Firemen's Convention. So again, thank you very much, and best of luck and success.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll have you on again soon.
The invite to be on.
All right, thank you. Have an awesome day. We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here. And it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, supervisor of the town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. We'd love to hear from you. We've got Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Saugerties, alongside of me here in the studio.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners.
And it is time for birthdays.
We got a couple today.
All right.
So we have a very special birthday to a regular that our listeners will recognize. Happy 68th birthday to George Post from your friends and family, and from us as well.
Absolutely.
And we have a happy birthday to Marge Carroll from your friends and family at Luncher Bunchers.
And today's winner of the famous cow pie from Boyce Dairy Milk House is George Post.
Yay. Congratulations.
I wonder what George, 55 years young maybe. How old is George? He's got to be in his
He actually
early
said
60s.
it in his note, 68.
Is he really?
Yeah.
God, he doesn't look 68.
No, good for
Happy
him.
birthday, George.
Yeah. Good
George,
stuff.
happy birthday. Congratulations when you get the opportunity. Get down to 62 O'Neill Street, right here in Kingston, New York, Boyce Dairy Milk House. Pick up that famous cow pie, which is courtesy of Boyce Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio.
We haven't heard from him yet today, so I expect he's going to call at some point.
Either that or maybe he started celebrating his birthday early, and you never know.
Yeah.
And listeners, it's very, very easy to do. Send those birthdays in. You can email to kcr921@gmail.com. You can postal mail to Kingston Community Radio, P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Once again, George Post, congratulations. Happy birthday. Have yourself an awesome day.
Very good. And thank you to Everett. That was a quick half hour. We do need to have him back. There's so many moving parts to first responding in Ulster County, and I hope we get the opportunity to have him back and talk about more of what's happening. And they play a very important role because the accumulation of the ambulance service, the fire service, the police departments, and the medical staff, and it takes a tremendous effort and a lot of coordination to make those resources work successfully together. And there are challenges, Greg, you know this firsthand. The number of folks willing to volunteer at their local fire departments is dwindling, and many of the fire departments in Saugerties and across the county are desperately searching for new membership and struggling to retain members that they've had for a number of years. And that has an impact, especially midweek when folks might be out of town working. The opportunity to answer a call successfully is limited. Ambulances are struggling with competitive pay, and balancing that against the residents who benefit from those services' ability to support them financially through taxes. And that's a challenge we're facing right now in Saugerties. Very often, first responders are making $15 to $20 an hour, and the opportunities to make more than that are abundant. And you get you live a pretty disruptive lifestyle when you're a first responder. It's a 24/7 operation, so somebody has to work when we're all having dinner or sleeping, and those calls never come in at an opportune time. They come in bad weather, they come in the middle of the night, and it's a challenge all the way around. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I think the more light we can shed and the better understanding we can share with the public we're trying to serve, the better we are. And I think that's been true. Police have gotten a lot of attention, not all of it positive over the past year, but that's an important component in shedding light on what happens and the coordination that's required to make it successful. I think will be helpful for residents' understanding as well.
Yeah, one of the, you mentioned about what we did not get to. One of the things I was going to ask him, which I thought I was going to get to, is basically to describe to our listeners and viewers, to us, what his call center actually looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and as far as staffing and the numbers of, and if it was adequate. And I know our guest here is on the line. I forgot
It's
to
actually
mention.
a caller. It's Mrs. R.
Oh, okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
I want to go over again a little bit more about that, the virus and everything, and hope people would be so stubborn and go out and get the vaccine because it saves their lives and the people around them. And it's also another thing that we need help with. Since this happened with the virus, there's such a shortage of blood that people are donating. And, people would go out and do that because a lot of people can't have surgeries that they need done because they don't have the blood to do them.
Oh, wow. That makes sense, though, given what we've been through, that there would be folks less willing, or the blood collection opportunities are less frequent. So it does make sense, and I'm glad you're bringing light to that.
Yeah, I hope people are listening. All right, some of them around my age, we can't do it anymore, but if you have children, who can do it, and even some of you have enough grandchildren who can go out and donate. So it is very important that people get out and do that. And there was one other thing I wanted to bring up, too, is, a lot of people are not returning to work, even though things are open. Some businesses are closing because they don't have the help. And I don't know if the Starways closed already, or I heard they are going to be closing, because I know they've only been open like for breakfast and for lunch. They don't have anybody there to work in the evening. And that's not just happening with them, it's what's happening with other places too.
Yeah.
So people can work, get back to work again, because you're hurting yourself if you don't, because these places are going to close that you like to go to. They're not going to be there for you to go to them.
Yeah, I would ask folks, have a little bit of extra patience. The labor shortage is real, and there's a lot of service businesses who cannot fully staff right now. So the folks that are there are doing the best they can. So please be a little bit patient. Hopefully, as things become more normal, we'll find some balance in labor opportunities again, and businesses can restaff in a way that allows them to serve their customers in a way we expect them to. We're experiencing it at our own restaurant. There's it's a challenge to make sure that you're going to have enough staff every day, and that's true across the board. Even we struggled a little bit this year with interest in the day camp program. We were trying to staff for that at the town. So
yeah, and I don't know, how did the mayor make out with lifeguards?
I don't even know if he has a lifeguard yet. I know they intended to. It doesn't matter right now because the weather's been so poor, but I think they were struggling to secure lifeguards.
Yeah, I know I had heard, well, I don't know about here in Philly, but I know you hear, different beaches have been able to open because they didn't have the lifeguards there.
Amazing. All right, we have Bob.
Well, thank you, Mrs. R. Always great hearing from you, and thank you for your call. You have yourself an awesome day.
Thanks, same to you, and thanks for all you do.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah. And we've got Mr. Circusano, I believe, on. You there, Bob?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
We sure can. Welcome. And congratulations. Despite the rain, I think it was a very successful event.
No, it was, after 17 years, sooner or later it's going to rain, right?
Yeah. That's true.
And considering that's all it's done in the last 3 weeks, it was inevitable.
But after all, when it's all said and done, I'm happy the way it turned out. We had some cars that didn't show because of the, some of these cars are pristine cars, trailer queens, and they're not going to bring them out in the rain. And then a lot of them got caught in the rain. But overall, I'm happy with the way it turned out. We reached our goal and beyond some of the amount of dollars that we donated back to the community. We're happy to say we donated back $67,500.
Wow.
Your goal was 50, wasn't it?
My goal was 50, yeah. Wow.
Congratulations.
So that was well. And on top of all, someone did claim the $2,000, for the raffle ticket. And he went ahead and he didn't want his name mentioned, but he donated right back to, he donated back to, some of it to the Boys and Girls Club, and I believe the 3 families that we gave checks to. So they even ended up with another $500. So It was, the crowd was very strong at the end at 5 o'clock. I don't know, were you there, Greg, at 5 o'clock when this was going up, when we were handing out the money?
I was not, because I was in the middle of the Stallions were supposed to have a doubleheader. And, of course, I was right there on the field right around 5 o'clock when we had to finally pull the plug, just analyzing the radar, getting some input from meteorologists through our paid weather provider, where it just got to the point. So I was tied up there and I was drenched. But I was there. Well, you saw me. I drove over the veterans that couldn't walk from the American Legion post to the opening ceremonies, and then brought them back in the 4-seat golf cart. And then after I dropped them off, I did walk Partition and Main Street, and the crowd. I think a lot of the people in anticipation of the weather came out, but there was a lot of people there early.
Yes, there was. I think the crowd that we had in the beginning was strong as ever.
Yes.
Yeah. At 1 o'clock, it was pretty. We had we had a little bit of a problem with a couple of cars getting them into their spots, but we didn't finish Main Street till about 1:30, and we had trouble, just getting people off the street so we could park the cars. But
it was there was a lot of people.
And EFW had their breakfast in the morning. They did very well.
Yep.
I believe that went well. They went to the lots where people were parking, waiting to come into the village. They shuttled them to the Legion where they had breakfast and brought them back. So that was a great thing that they did there. But overall, we handed out all of the trophies. We had some great winners. I had a lot of people, as you know. I had 4 or 5 guys. That whole row of cars by Nico's Pharmacy, all those guys were from Massachusetts. They came up. They spent 2 nights in a hotel, plus they ate in our restaurant. So and that was great too. Then we had a bunch of people from Maryland that did the same thing, that stayed in hotels and brought their vehicles and just had a great time. A couple of them were the first time here, and they're all said they're coming back.
I've said this time and time again. You could take a stab in the dark and a wild guesstimate, and that's what it would be, a wild guesstimate, but the positive economic domino effect back into our community as a result of you, the result of your team, the result of your event. And you just alluded to just 2 of which I think are probably many, many other scenarios, examples of individuals that stayed over in Sorgetes, bought gas, ate in the restaurants, went into the shops, et cetera, et cetera. And it's really good to hear, Bob, that the crowd was, excuse me, that the crowd was strong at 5 o'clock also.
I think people actually embraced the rain. Once we all got wet, it didn't matter. And Bob set the example because he didn't even know he was wet. He was just out there having a great time.
Yeah.
So I guess to summarize, Bob, you had a goal of $50,000, and you gave away $17,000 more than your goal, $67,000. So the way I view that is, so many of us have been unable to overcome Mother Nature, but certainly you did on Sunday. We had to cancel Stallions games. We had to cancel various games, various events. The Mid-Hudson Rebels, we had to pull just before their championship games for the 18U, but not Bob Circasano.
No, we made it happen.
Slapped Mother Nature in the face.
It went well. We're all happy. It's all we're still putting stuff away. We have a lot of stuff that we have to use every year for signing, and all the banners and all the chairs, the tables, and all that stuff. Our tents, and we lost a couple of tents that because the rain pretty hard, and it took the tent right out because we left them right at the Reese's lot during the evening, the Sunday evening. We picked them up Monday morning, and we lost 3 of them because they were probably older tents or whatever it was, but we'll get one. But talking about something else, we are going through a Diaz fundraiser, as you know, and I'd like to talk about that if I have a few minutes.
Oh yeah, you got to 8:30. Go for it.
Yeah, it's a perfect time to do it. We just had Everett on, and we were talking about some of the struggles ambulances are experiencing.
That's correct, and they're gonna, and you guys know that sooner or later we're gonna have to go with a 3rd crew because of the calls that they're getting and all the and just everything else that goes with it. A lot of things are happening. The growth of the population, all the new homes that are going up. So that's probably something that they're going to have to look at in the near future. But I'll talk a little bit about August 27th. On August 27th at the Petition, on Petition Street behind Bella Luna, I'm going to have a fundraiser with Ian Flanagan, and Ian Flanagan is going to perform for us for Diaz with the opening of Mike Spears. So we're going to start off with, it's going to be a ticket to become available, I say probably in about another week or so. We'll have it here. I'm going to be doing a mailer. It'll be on my Facebook page. We'll get out there. And after Mike Spears and Ian Flanagan performs, we're going to have a band that's going to donate their time so that people could dance to the night. It's called Grit Gang Band that played at the Petition before, Grit Gang. I never seen it perform, but I heard they're very good, and it's a very good dance band.
Yeah,
other than that, we'll be, we've been raising money for Diaz for the last 3 or 4 years, and I think last year we raised $27,000, and this year we're hoping to go over that a little bit. Other than that, it's I'm on the board of Diaz, as you guys know, and I'm happy to say I really enjoy it, and I think it's worth something that we got to have in our community, and it's something we can't be without. I know I used them a couple of times when I had my kidney stones. They took me to the hospital, and it kind of like they got me there pretty quick and took care of my situation.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Bob. And something we sort of take for granted if we're from Saugerties is Diaz keeps 2 cars available to our residents all the time, and they staff for that. And that's part of the reason we have a pretty quick response and reliable response when there's a call for service. That's not true across all of Ulster County. Some communities rely on neighboring services to provide that service. And in order to maintain that, we have the ambulance district, which helps support the Diaz. And your point about the third call is relevant. I was talking to a fairly young EMT who said when he started, they were answering, I think it was, I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but it represented more than a third increase in the number of call-outs they experience per year. And there's no indication that that number is going down anytime soon. So we're actually having the dialogue with Diaz a little bit tonight. They're going to come and make a presentation to the town board to talk about the demand, what they do, and what the demand for the third call-out unit is. And hopefully as we go through our budget process, we're going to find a way to enable that third call-out for 2022.
Right. We definitely, it's definitely going to happen. So, and we definitely need it,
Yeah.
The car show was like, getting back to the car show, getting back to that 5 o'clock scene, Greg, I just couldn't believe how many people were that stood there and just kept on going. We had a lot of new people come in our community that never were before, and they were blown away by the village, by the stores that were open, by the hospitality, by the welcome. It's really nice that we could always do that for our guests that come to our town.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's a real opportunity to showcase. But didn't you sense there was a special atmosphere about it? I think everyone who stayed just embraced the rain, even the car owners. They were just, everybody was so happy to be there, and it was a really jubilant atmosphere. Yeah, it was a really jubilant atmosphere.
Oh, again, I went to a car show. I think I mentioned this the last time I was on the air, is that people were just saying it just feels good to get out and sit by my car and just enjoy themselves,
Yeah.
You could tell. You could
definitely tell. But something else I noticed, there was, I think part of it was because we didn't have a show last year. There were a number of new cars that came. Yeah, some really neat stuff, too. I enjoyed seeing the classic race cars. Those were pretty cool. And that trike was pretty impressive, too. Just really unique.
There was a lot of good stuff there. And then the Lights Out, those guys that perform like the Jersey Boys, they put a show on that really rocked. That place was mobbed, and even though it was raining, everybody was just standing there in the rain, just listening to them.
Yeah.
And you guys probably know that my wife is planning a Saugerties High School reunion that's open to the world. I'd like to talk about that if I could.
Sure.
It's just something, she's trying to get a lot of people together. We are selling tickets here at Sawyer Motors. They're available. So on Friday, let's see here, get this right, on August 6th and 7th, the first evening is going to be at Bella Luna on the second floor terrace. There's going to be appetizers, Italian buffet, and music, and that's only $35 per person. And then Saturday night, she's going to have a cocktail hour with hors d'oeuvres, dinner, dessert, and entertainment. And she's having the lights out come back. The people who performed in my car show in the last 3 or 4 years, as you know, they do the Jersey Boys, the Beach Boys. They're going to be performing. Then if you remember a couple of years ago, when we did the impersonators at the high school, the gentleman who played Kenny Rogers, which I felt he was one of the best guys there.
Oh, he was awesome.
He is definitely going to perform. And she's telling me there's another surprise that's coming that she won't tell me who it is. And tickets are only $65 per person. We have those tickets here at Sawyer Motors if you want to come and join us.
All right.
So now, what is this for again, Bob? I was unfortunately looking at my emails on my phone.
She's doing a class reunion. A class reunion that's open from the class of 1960 to 2000s. She just thought it would be nice to have an event that people could go to and dance and listen to good entertainment, and we could get together now that COVID's pretty much, over. Everybody could get together in our community and just have a good time.
Okay.
It's not a fundraiser. It's just it's just a time to come out and dance and have a good time and listen to good entertainment like the Lights Out, those Jersey Boy guys perform.
It's quite a unique concept.
It is, yeah.
Unique idea. That covers well over 30 years of graduates.
Yeah. So hopefully we could go ahead and get it. It'd be nice to get 100 people on Friday night and maybe get 150 people on Saturday night, and we could fill the place up.
So on Friday night, it's at Bella Luna, second floor terrace.
Yeah.
And where is it Saturday?
Diamond Mills.
Diamond Mills. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, it's going to be the same layout as we had for my VIP event, sponsor event that we had last Saturday night.
That event you threw, Bob, was your best yet for your before the car show VIP party. Just awesome. I was blown away by it.
The people, again, the people that came from far away that I've been following me, with this car show, I invited them, and they couldn't believe the facility, especially when they looked outside and see that dam.
See the waterfall.
Unbelievable. What it's like.
As many times as I've been there and as many times as I see it, usually after I get my first drink, the first place I go is go right
Take
outside.
A look.
I go right outside, and that's where I plant myself.
And the night was perfect because it wasn't hot, it wasn't humid. It was perfect.
It didn't rain.
They do a great job. The staff they have there, Brianne, who I've been dealing with, she's got it. They all have it together.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah, and I've had conversations with Brianne. The challenges that they had, they put on their own job fair a couple of months ago. They got some, but they've had some big challenges with staffing also.
Yeah.
But you would never have known it Saturday night.
No.
In fact, you never know it whenever you go there. It's just they do what they have to do.
Yep, make it work.
Yep.
So for anybody who's
wedding before that, they had a wedding that they were working on before that in the tavern, so they had a busy day.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to see a lot of activity back, and it's exciting. And hopefully, we can put this COVID thing in our rearview mirror and get back to what we consider to be normal.
Yeah.
So, but if anybody's thinking about the class reunion, Shelley certainly knows how to organize a party. So if you're thinking about it at all, just buy the tickets and go have a really good time. And I'm sure the food and the entertainment and all of it will be a really pleasurable experience. And with that, it's decades of graduates from Saugerties. You're going to see people you haven't seen in a really long time and enjoy yourself. So encourage listeners, if you're thinking about it, go on and take the plunge.
And I, like you, have witnessed Shelley in action many times, including what she did for now 7 years ago, the 10th anniversary of the car show, with the tents, the dance floor, the portable bars, of all places, on soccer field number 2.
No budget, Greg. No budget.
No, there's no budget. And then an awesome fireworks display afterwards.
And the hot air balloon.
Oh, I forgot about the hot air balloon.
That was very memorable. It was the only time I was ever in one.
Right. That's right. Well, Bob Circusano, we're at the bottom of the hour. It's time to go for a break. I appreciate you calling in and appreciate all you do for Sorgady's. And again, just an awesome accomplishment with the $67,000 that you gave away on Sunday.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good day. We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you that summer thunderstorms can strike with strong, gusty winds, knocking down trees and power lines. If you see a downed power line, call 911 immediately to report it. Power lines can carry an electric current strong enough to cause injury or death. Stay at least 30 feet away from a fallen line. Don't try to move it or anything that has come in contact with it. And never drive over a power line. Remember, your safety matters.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us this morning and those just joining us for the last half hour. Welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. We are expecting, unless something came up, Darren Nagy, who recently purchased the semi-pro box lacrosse team and moved it to Sorgady's and currently playing out of the ice arena. And something I did not mention that in the first half hour, congratulations to the Sorgady's Little League. Last night they hosted a regional game, first game of a 2 out of 3 series, and defeated East Greenbush. I believe the score was 8-4. And this evening they're playing in East Greenbush. As I mentioned, it's a 2 out of 3 series. So congratulations to the Saugerties Little League on their efforts. And we were talking a little bit earlier, Lawrence, about with the new, and that's what I was doing. I was looking at my phone, the couple of emails I've got from the Giants, and I'm just wondering, if this is something you're going to be seeing, where other stadiums are going to start allowing people to bring food in, as opposed to purchasing and touching food within the confines.
Actually, it's funny that you bring that up. I'm actually going to 2 away games this year. They play in Florida twice.
Oh.
At Tampa on a Monday night, and at the Dolphins on a Sunday afternoon at 1:00. So that they're not until the end of November, beginning of December. So I'll have a report then. But I can't remember. I remember as a kid, my dad used to bring in hot chocolate, or my mom would make us soup. The colder games.
Yeah.
December. My dad never missed a game when we were younger. I went to probably every home game, all 8 of them. And I remember sitting there in some Decembers where it was, and they weren't even that good, freezing cold. And my mother's vegetable beef soup was, me and my father would grub on that. But then, as I got older into like my teenage years, I don't want to blame it on the Jets fans, but when they had that problem with them at the Monday night game, because remember they stopped serving beer at night games, and right around then when they started cracking down, then there was no more thermoses. No more, obviously you can't bring a flask in, but they did that. Guys used to bring their coffee in, but now there's a Dunkin' Donuts on every level in MetLife. So, but I'm looking forward to it. We eat so much in the parking lot that I never really eat in the stadium anyway.
Likewise, same.
Yeah, and I don't really buy. Maybe I'll buy one beer and hold on to it for 2 quarters, but I try to get all my drinking and eating in the parking lot. But I'm just curious. I would imagine for the home opener now, they're actually home for week 1. Usually they're at Dallas. It's a 4 p.m. game, so they only open the parking lot up 5 hours before kickoff, so that would be 11. I would imagine that, and I told Cam, I was like, we might have to leave Kingston at 10 o'clock just so we can get a good parking space, because we haven't had fans, and we missed a year. People are going to be eager to get back to their tailgate, and there's some guys that have some big. I don't know if you ever heard of a Big Blue Barbecue. You can get on. Yeah, $40, all you can eat, all you can drink. The music's a little loud, but all you can eat, all you can drink. They have selections of margaritas, Long Island iced teas, Bud Light, Budweiser, Bud Light. Assortment of food, appetizers. There's usually like 50 or 60 people at their tailgates, and you have to let them know by Friday, right? If you're going,
I'm not sure.
You get a wristband. It's a pretty sophisticated ordeal.
Right where we park, about I don't even think it's.
We park in J12, so it's right around where everybody in Kingston and Saugerties parks. I noticed going to the Johnny on the Spot, I run into people from Kingston and Saugerties. I'm like, hey, what's up?
There's a bunch of us. We've always have in L.
Okay, the L lot. Okay, yeah, so that's in front of the Pepsi Gate. Okay.
Pepsi Gate.
Yeah.
And Silhouettes does something very, very similar. And large grills, they line up, and they put their rigs right alongside the sidewalk.
Right.
You can actually purchase a ticket right then and there. And they put the wristbands on.
Right, you can walk up and pay. And if you don't want to do the cooking, it's actually
you don't have to. There's
it's
some
a really
good food.
good option to have.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I'm
looking
and
forward
Johnny
to.
used to put together a pretty substantial barbecue too. Livermore did.
Oh yeah. Oh well, he's a diehard Jet fan.
Yeah,
he puts on. Boy, he's put on some. He generally does a game where he's able to access like 30 additional tickets. And he's invited me a couple times. I always had some kind of a conflict, but where I was going with this, I was just hearing, and I see in the Freeman here, Manfred, right? Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, where it looks like now they're going to next year be reverting back to 9-inning doubleheaders as opposed to 7-inning doubleheaders. and something that I'm absolutely against, makes no sense whatsoever. I think it penalizes the team is the man on second.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And you know what? It happened last night. The Stallions game went into extra innings. They put a man on second base. He got over to third. There was 2 outs, and he scored.
Yep.
They automatically put him on base without getting a hit or a walk or anything?
Automatically.
Why?
And you see, the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League follows Major League Baseball to a T. Even in Major League Baseball.
A double? I mean, you give the guy an automatic double just to start out that's ridiculous.
Well, here's the other thing, too, is how unfair is that to a pitcher?
Yeah.
All right? Because that run gets started.
What happens if the guy's got a perfect game going or a no-hitter? Well, that would still consist of a no-hitter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. But you're right, Greg. It's going to be...
It's going to reflect.
That's...
Okay, so now, that pitcher last night, you know, one of the things that the colleges look at, especially the D1 colleges, and let's face it, Kevin Hinchy, the franchise owner of the Stallions, has majority of D1 players. His starting lineup is D1 starters. Yep. So that pitcher there, and one of the things those colleges look at is with a pitcher, ERA, walks to strikeout ratio. So that pitcher got charged with a run, I would imagine, unless for some reason, you know, there's a clause in there, and I don't know what Major League Baseball has. I never dove into it. Where if that run that they put out on second base does not get charged to the pitcher, but
What happens if the guy scores? The game's over, or they get another inning to.
Well, it starts when you go into extra inning. So it would start. Obviously, scores.
So the 10th inning would start with the guy on second.
The top of the 10th. So the home team then gets a chance to also.
So they get a guy on second at the bottom of the 10th or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So unfortunately.
So one single basically could win. Yeah, one single could win the game.
Sorgatty's got their runner over to third with 1 out, and unfortunately could not score him. But that just, I think that's very unfair. I don't know what the motive is behind it.
They're trying to
speed things up.
So you know they're having trouble drawing new fans and maintaining fan base, but this was
dropped
a way.
The ticket price.
Exactly. Because we all became fans because we went to a game with our parents when we were kids. You can't take a family to a baseball game. You can go to Bahamas for less.
It costs you $500.
Yep.
Yeah.
You go to Bahamas.
And the other thing he's proposing, he's looking to do, is banning teams from utilizing the shift.
Wow.
I don't like that either.
Well, it has taken away from baseball. Because what it's done.
So what? You can't put the shift on? Not yet, but this is what they're talking about.
This is what he's proposing.
So no more shift on. So if a guy's pulling lefty, you can't move the infield or the outfield to right field.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
That's crazy.
That's different.
I know
I don't like that either. Though I'm such a traditionalist when it comes to baseball. I just feel like it's been around a pretty long time.
Maybe put a guy on first, but not second. I mean, that's like one single will win you the game right there.
I say play it out. It's fun.
In the NFL of not doing, they do if you get a field goal, the other team gets the ball, they get a chance to duplicate, but if they score a touchdown, it's sudden death.
Yep.
Then they floated the one idea of no more kickoffs because too many people were getting hurt. Mm-hmm. Just give the guy the ball on the 25-yard line. I don't know.
I don't like that either. I'm getting old, I guess.
It's bad enough you can't hit a quarterback anymore.
Well, I sort of see that.
Like LT used to just wreck people.
Destroy people.
Quarterbacks did he take out in his career?
A few.
I'm sure one of the motives is to get away from 15, 16, 18 inning games where the score remains high. But, rather than putting a person on second base, why not play, say, a maximum of 3 extra innings? And if the game ends in a tie, it ends in a tie. You have ties in other sports.
Yeah, hockey. There's ties in hockey.
All the time.
Ties in soccer.
All the time.
I don't know. I guess for me, those 18-inning games, they're the lead story on the news. That's the one that gets the attention.
Yeah, that'll be the first story in the sports column the next day.
So there's...
Well, what was that game that was like 5 or 6 years ago? Didn't it go it was the longest, 22 innings or something, the longest game ever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like a 7-hour game from the from the first pitch until it was over. I mean, that's
We're still talking about it though.
Yeah,
nobody's
true.
Yeah,
but imagine for those guys that played in it, though.
Yeah, but they're going to remember it as well.
Well, you're a baseball player, Fred. How many did you ever play a game that went 15, 16, 17 innings?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
no, because our games were scheduled for 7, and by the time you get to the 9th or the 10th inning.
Now there was no rain at the Stallions game last night. They missed all that. Everything was fine. There was no.
We had a period of some mist,
but nothing to
moderate
shut down or anything.
No. And everything that we had going, fortunately, we had the Kingston Senior Legion, who normally plays on Cantine. They had their last league game against Amsterdam. They were playing over on Lorenz.
The fields must look great with all this rain. They must be as green as. They must look really good.
Yes, they look good from a distance. And
you got to get in there and cut them, probably.
The center fielder twice dove for fly balls in the Stallions game. And you could see the water splashing.
Okay.
Side saturated.
It's that bad. Well, I'm sure you got drainage in that field. I mean, that's a pretty.
Well, we do. But right now, the drainage is overtaxed. And there is
I was shocked when you said that this morning. 7 inches of water in the last 3 weeks, or
not even 3 weeks, right?
2 weeks?
No, this is since Thursday morning.
Since last Thursday?
Since last
7
Thursday.
inches of rain?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you got to remember, we had that front that moved through.
I thought it was from Elsa. I guess that must have went out to sea.
We had the front that moved through on Thursday, which is a little over 2 inches of rain. Then Elsa came through, and then we've had these events where they're just these tropical downpours that we have been getting, and they dump a lot of water in a very, very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And we've got a digital rain gauge on the weather station, and also we're able to go on to our weather provider, and it's fairly close. They're not identical, but they're within a few tenths of an inch of being uniform. But obviously with anything, and especially underground drainage, it takes a while for that underground drains to drain, number one, and then number two, we don't have it all throughout the outfield because we've never had the need. Mm-hmm. I've seen water lay where I've never seen it lay before.
Yeah, 7 inches of rain is a lot of rain on top of a fairly wet season already. But also, I think, to your credit and your staffs over the years, the robust drainage that we've installed on Cantine, because there's very little change in topography from the Market Street entrance all the way over to the ice rink. It's pretty near flat.
Yeah, there is some elevation change. The water that runs down to drainage swales and then into the basins, that's all gravity fed. Where it's the worst is at soccer, where we dump into a large holding tank, and then there's when we get to the point where that becomes full. And before the water has a chance to go into the tank, there's a large underground French basin. And when I say very similar to a French drain, and for our listeners, our viewers, it's basically a large hole that's filled with large size rock. So it has the opportunity to get into there, get down into the through that layer of rock, and then hopefully drain into the ground. So then once that becomes saturated, becomes full, it then starts seeping into the tank. When that becomes full, we use a stormwater pump, very similar to
some pump in a basement.
Some pump in a basement, a sewer pump station. So it's a stormwater pump station. We have two of them on Cantine, one of them on Lorenz, and one out at soccer. Because you're right, it's so flat. And especially in an east-west direction. North and south, there's a little bit more, but and the other thing is also, as you say, okay, we're going to install drainage, we're going to install underground drains. The longer you have to go, that pitch keeps dropping, and you always want to do at least, a 0.5%, ideally 1%, and for example, on Cantine, that underground drainage, by the time it gets to the the basin, the catch basin, it's 3.5 feet in the ground. So
they're getting pretty deep pretty fast.
You need to have a stormwater pump that then pumps it into the ditch and out it goes.
Again. Plus, we're compromised as well because there's a deep layer of clay there.
At the north end, soccer, yes. The baseball fields, especially the south end of the complex, the profile's primary
sand,
a sandy loam. And then the other problem, and I'm sure you've witnessed it many, many times, the only outlet for the water that basically starts at the Greco Center, the south end of the complex, the soccer fields, all winds up going across Washington Avenue by Hits via means of a 24-inch culvert pipe. So everything empties into that one area, and for that Thursday and Friday, for the longest time, as it goes across the street onto on the Tom's property, on the Hits, and then into the Sawyerkill, where it dumps, it was over that. It was a whirlpool, and you couldn't even see the top of just imagine a 24-inch diameter pipe. Well, unfortunately, something must have came up with Darren again. Maybe got called into work, but this is something with the profession that he's in will happen, almost like with law enforcement. Yep. But we're killing it.
So you and I once in a while run into a gap, and we always say we never remember who to call. So one of the next times we have a gap in a schedule, we're going to have members of Diaz or the Diaz board on.
Oh, there you go.
Because I just spoke with Doug, and they're going to make a presentation to the town board tonight about reintroduce Diaz to the community a little bit, plus make a case for some equity adjustments in pay to the MTs, and make a case for the third ambulance. Yeah. So, but I think this is a good platform, and our listeners would benefit from.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So next time we have a gap, let's try to remember. We should write it down, right?
I'm going to start it right now.
Okay.
I'm going to start it right now on my phone, because guess what? If I don't,
we won't remember.
Forget about it.
Yep. We feel the anxiety of trying to fill airtime.
And just sitting here, I heard the commercial. We hear it all the time. You could reach out and see if you used to be a regular guest for a whole. Well, no, I think he was on it. No, one time for a whole hour. Is the town of Ulster supervisor Jim Quigley?
Yeah.
If he wanted to jump on.
Yeah, he's chairman of the board of the Supervisors Association again, and there's been some interesting activity there that all the towns are participating in. So I think he would be an interesting guest right now if we could share a little bit of time with him. So we should write that one down too. But all the towns were starting to enter into our budget planning for 2022, and every season has unique challenges, and this season for sure will have challenges as well. And I think the funding of the EMS services for communities that host those services will be a challenge this year as well. The pandemic certainly stretched the resources that are available, and we've learned, where the weaknesses are, and the folks that oversee those organizations are trying to shore up those shortcomings and make sure that we're providing services that are adequate to the people who need them. And one of the big conversations that we're going to be having through this course of this budget season between now and November, when we all hope to adopt them, will be what resources do we need to address at this point, and how are we going to fund those services going forward. And that's not a conversation unique to Sorges. That's going to be true across the board. And I think it's academically interesting to me how ambulance services exist. Some are pure pay services, and Mobile Life kind of represents that. And they do a great job with the resources they have, but they kind of are forced to reserve their resources for the activities that can afford to pay for those services. Diaz is a hybrid. They provide pay for services as well, but they're under contract with the town of Saugerties to provide 2 cars, and they're making the case for a 3rd car to provide those services. And then we have an ambulance district that helps offset the cost of that service. And one of the things that's also unique is no one is denied service from our ambulance, and they don't get a reimbursement that covers the cost in many cases. And sometimes if there's a call because they help lift someone up, that's a deployment, it's a use of service. They may use some medication or resource, but there's not an opportunity to bill for that. And those they're not raising that as a complaint, just as a moment of awareness that they're terrific partners. When we have they had resources available to the car show. They'll have resources available to every major event that we do. They'll have resources they did at the 4th of July. All those mass gatherings and festivals that kind of define summertime in Saugerties have a need for ambulance, and Diaz is always there. They work really closely with the police and fire service in Saugerties, doing car seat programs, bike helmets, and all kinds of other things, and they provide training. I've benefited from training for CPR. Mm-hmm. I got a certification from those folks, and they do a lot of things that are above and beyond what we consider to be an ambulance service.
They do the training and certification for summer recreation.
Yep. So they're a tremendous resource, and a lot of that stuff is not part of their budget or their way to fund it. So it's going to be an interesting conversation over the next couple months. And who do we have? George with us?
George who? Who's on the call?
We do. We have birthday boy George Post.
Birthday boy George Post.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing today?
We're doing. Don't ask us what, but we are doing.
You guys are doing a great job and everything, and your conversation about the EMTs and first responders is fantastic, because we definitely need to support them because they're there for us. I'm lucky where I live. I have 2 of them that live right on the same road that I live on. The children of our funeral director that's here in the town of Esopus, and I see them going out all the time with lights on their cars and stuff, responding to calls at all times of the day and night. And we really need to take our hats off to our first responders and stuff, because they are there on the front line alongside with our officers and fire and everything else. So all the people that volunteer, first responders and police work, are fantastic.
Yeah, we are fortunate. Happy birthday, by the way, George.
Thank you.
Yes, I didn't want
another one.
I didn't want to interrupt you. So
happy. My cow pie. Thank you very much, because Boise's, they make tremendous cow pies. They are delicious.
Yes, they are. And I didn't want to interrupt you, but happy birthday! Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'll be leaving for a meeting this afternoon down in New Windsor with the Catholic War veterans, because I'm a member of that group down in New Windsor as well. And so
you're going to try to make it up to the first responders game next Tuesday?
I'll put that on my schedule.
Yeah, put that on.
Yeah, put that on.
And see if I can get up there. What time is that?
Well, for 7 or 5, because it's going to be a double.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's scheduled for 7. I think all the pregame festivities will take place in between the 2 games, so it's hard to pinpoint it.
Right.
But let me find out, and I'll touch base back with you, and I'm sure I'll be able to secure a VIP seat for you at no charge.
Thank you. Because, hey, I love baseball.
You're going to see a high-quality play of game. There's some really talented young folks on that team. On all the teams that come and visit as well. There's a really nice group of young people playing.
And tell you what, Cantine Field is a fantastic sports complex you guys have up there. My son used to play in the hockey league that they have up there with Central Hudson and stuff.
Yep.
So, and that the job they do on their ice and everything else is fantastic. Well, that's because one of the guys that used to be when the Zamboni was a Marine.
Yes.
Yep, the old guy was a Marine. I seen him there. but I know you guys get ready
Jeff
to go off the air. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day. And, I can gonna give Lawrence my phone number and stuff, and when you guys find out, you can always give me a buzz.
Yeah, do that.
Right,
do that.
Sounds good,
Okay,
George.
thank you, gentlemen. Another great show. Keep up
Awesome.
the good work. And like I said, a couple of weeks, I was able to pick you guys up all the way out in South Forsberg.
Oh, wow.
Good.
So the signal reached to the top of that mountain out in Sutherland County. So have a great day,
Good to
everybody.
hear. Thank you. You too.
Yep. Bye now.
Glad he called in because Sopus has a good ambulance service, very good actually, and they're part of the community resources, and they've come up and helped out in Sorges a number of times.
We are out of time. Thank you, Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Sorges. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you to our listeners. We'll be back here again next Wednesday. The sun's coming out.
The sun's coming out. All right, have a great day, everyone.